Inner Peace, Better Health, where we decode the human spirit one transformation at a time. I am your host, Shreya, and today's guest, Annalisa Corti, is a global educator in inner alchemy and behavior mastery. She fuses neurobehavioral science with ancient wisdom, helping professionals awaken spiritually through their everyday habits. If you have ever felt stuck in your patterns, this is your invitation to see behavior not as the enemy, but as the path. So, welcome, Annalisa. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Thank you, Shreya. It's such a lovely pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
And also, Annalisa, you talk about behavior as a gateway to awakening. What inspired you to link our daily action to something as profound as spiritual growth?
My experience, my personal experience, most people, there's a lot of hype around spiritual retreats, ashram, mantras, reciting, chanting, tapping. There's so many things that we are invited to do to connect to our deeper part of us. Some of it, call it God, source, life, universe. You choose the word that you like. You choose the word that you like. I like to use the word God, but I don't put on it any religious denominations. It's just the word that I use. So basically, if you I for once have tried everything. I started with meditation. I started with Tibetan meditation. I started with Buddhist meditation. I started the mala chanting with the beads. I did the tapping. I did the whole thing. This is like 30 years in the making. So for me, the journey started early on, but it wasn't until I encountered in 2016 my mentor, who pointed me towards the importance of behavior. I had just started my own business as a solopreneur, business coach, okay? And it wasn't going well because I didn't know any of the behaviors. Excuse me. I didn't know any of the behaviors that a business coach needs to have to make their business work. So I ended up broke, two kids, very young at the time. They were like 3 and 5. And I wanted to do this wonderful job, and I didn't have any solopreneur experience. So my actions continued being the actions of a project manager that had a contract and has sick leave and paid leave and all of that stuff. That's a different world, right? So he said to me, if you don't change your behaviors, you're not going to change your results. And I'm like, yeah, but what are the behaviors? And he used my first behavior mapping test was in 2016 with him. And he said, you see, here is a complete photograph of 19 behaviors that you are engaging in without you being aware. So while you're sleeping, you're engaging in these behaviors, and these are not bringing you your results. So this was the first cold shower in terms of practical actions that I was not doing that I needed to start doing. From there, obviously for me, God is a bit everywhere, right? Like when I play with my kids, he's when I play with my cats. So when I talk to a client, he's here with us as we are talking together in this beautiful conversation. So
Yeah.
for me, God is everywhere. He's not only in church or at the mosque or at the ashram. He's everywhere. He's in a beautiful flower. It's everywhere. So I started studying um out of curiosity and passion. I started studying alchemy, Gurdjieff in particular. And if you know Gurdjieff, his entire uh, spiritual path was based on self observation and self study. Uh, and for me, this connected two worlds, right? So here I have a bunch of behaviors that make me performant, performing at my business. But also here I have this ancient, wonderful man telling me that I can connect to God if I go inside my actions. So what does that mean? Like, another great man, Thich Nhat Hanh, used to say that, when you drink tea, drink tea. When you eat a cookie. So it's the same thing. Be in, be in the action that you are doing. I've taken it a little bit further because business people, solopreneurs, freelancers, professionals, uh, it is very rare that we have nothing to do. There's always something to do. The to-do list is a very long list. And as you cross things off, new things pop up on the to-do list. So it's really easy for us, solopreneurs, to forget ourselves, to go back to sleeping mode. And when I say sleeping mode, I don't mean we go to sleep. We just become distracted. We disconnect because we are not in what we are doing. I'm talking to you, but I'm thinking about the dinner that I have to cook in a little bit. I am taking my daughter to school, but I'm already writing the email in my head because I'm already at my computer. So behavior mapping and Gurdjieff's self-observation blends in a way that if you stay present, first, if you become aware, if you wake up and you become aware of all your inefficient actions, where do you lose your power? Where do you lose your attention? Where do you lose your energy? Where do you lose your mood? Where do you lose your positivity? Where do you lose your spirit? Where do you lose it? First, you need to self observe. How do you lose yourself
Hmm.
while you're doing things? That's the first thing. How do you lose yourself while you're doing things? Where do you go? And then it's a way of coming back. So, what are efficient actions? Discipline is the most sacred skill that we could have because discipline allows us to stay focused and take care of the things that are important, even if we are not super excited about it. But because we know that we're doing this because we care. So if I care about my health, I will drink lots of water. If I care about my health, I will work out even if I don't feel like it. Because I am taking care of my health. If I care about my relationship, I will do certain things even if maybe I am a little bit tired.
Hmm.
If I care about my business, I will polish some actions, behaviors that are needed to make my business work, even if I don't really like it. So discipline is a core behavior slash competency to have that make us really thrive. And for me, it's the most sacred one of all because it's caring. We care.
Yeah, it's so true. And thank you for sharing your stories and experience. I think so often we just chase the meaning outside of ourselves, yet the clues are embedded in how we move through the day. And you just say that so beautifully. And also, you blend emotional insight with neurobehavioral science. So, what is one surprising truth about behavior that most people misunderstand?
I think the greatest misunderstanding about behavior is that people believe to be in control of it. But my experience helping so many people with this type of work is that they are asleep while they act through life. They answer the phone and they're not consciously answering the phone. They react to traffic, they react to someone provoking them. And some may think that, but this is emotional intelligence. Of course, it is all intertwined. And it's not precisely divided the whole thing. It's there are interactions, obviously, but so um when people are not present in what they do and how they react to a certain stimulus, that's where we lose ourselves to stress. That's why our mind goes in the past, thinking about stuff that happened yesterday or last week, or it goes into the future, worrying about, is this going to happen? Is this, why isn't this happening? Why that? Why that? So I think that the behavior, the greatest misunderstanding about behavior is that we think we are in control. And if you're and I would like to offer a challenge to our listeners. Test how in control you are of your behavior the next time you brush your teeth or you open the doors for one day. So for one day, you open the doors, not with your dominant hand. For me, it's my right hand, with your left hand. And you realize how asleep we are as we move through our day. Because I bet you that most people, me included, when I first did this exercise, I would get to the door, any door in the house, the car, the bedroom, the study, whatever, and I would open the door with my right hand. And then I'd be like, oh God, but I wanted to be conscious. I had to open it with my left hand. And only after I opened the door many times with my right hand, I remembered to stay present and connected to open the door with the left hand. Now, what does this example have to do with what you said? Is that we think we are in control of behavior. And I'm saying we're not. We are asleep through most of our behaviors.
Yes.
And if you want proof of it, one day you open all the doors in that one day, all of them, with your non-dominant hand. And you see how many times you will not be able to do it because you sleep right through it.
Definitely. This is such a wonderful practice that you have shared, and thank you for sharing this with our listeners. And also, how can we shift from automatic reaction to intentional action, especially under stress?
Oh, that's a good question. So when we're in a stress, when we are feeling stressed, so we are in a bit of an altered emotional state, um, we tend to react and not respond. Okay, because we go in defensive mode or we don't feel safe. So we need to, fear. It's like flight, fight, freeze, fawn. Everybody uses their own preferred automatic reaction. How do we stop that with lots of love and patience and try and try and try again? Um, we we learn to stop by kindly inviting, observing. Quindi we return back to Gurdjieff's self-observation. So we observe when I am feeling sad and somebody says something to me, I tend to snap. Okay. So first I need to observe, here there is a pattern. Then after I observe it, I need to create space. Viktor Frankl said you need to have a space between an input, between a stimulus and an output to that stimulus. So we have the stimulus, we need to create space. Space you create by self-observation. You self-observe, you stay present and you say, okay, right now I really want to do this. I really want to snap back. I really want to defend myself. I really want to run away. I really wish I could disappear. But you see it, but you don't do it. And that's why I said it takes a lot of love and patience, because at first we just are pulled into the reaction. It takes a lot of practice to say, oh God, I really would like to punch him in the face. Huh, that's interesting, this emotional reaction that I'm having. I'm really wanting to punch him in the face, but I don't do it. I stay with it. I stay with it. I don't repress it. I don't pretend it's not there. I don't repress it. I see it. I feel that anger that wants to punch me in the face, but I stay still. I stay there with it. I don't do anything. And then as we get better, Shreya, what happens is that we are able to translate that feeling of I want to punch him in the face in I really need you to make a little bit of silence so that I can tell you what I'm thinking. So in here we move into the nonviolence communication that Marshall Rosenberg taught the entire world. We identify the behavior, then we identify the need, and then we declare the need in a nonviolent way. I mean, that's that's the journey. It takes a little bit of time, but that's the journey.
Yes, this is, I think, a beautiful journey, and the moment of pause, it's simple yet widely powerful when practiced with awareness. And also, you have worked with across cultures and languages. So, how does our environment or cultural condition influence the behaviors we need to unlearn to grow?
Well, I would like to focus on one environment, which maybe is not even cultural. It I mean, obviously, it has a cultural element in it, but it's family. You know, we are all born as small infant children into families. Let's just say a great majority of people are born into ordinary families, normal families. And the first cultural impact is the ideas and beliefs that our parents have and that they put automatically into our brains, into our hearts. So the software that they install inside us as children, which then become automatic, unconscious, and shape our adult life until these softwares that are not that were never ours, but we took them. Okay, they were never ours, but we absorbed them because we wanted to be loved by our parents, we wanted to be accepted by our friends, and so we adopted these softwares that are not ours, and then they stopped working for us at one point in our lives, and that's where the identity crisis comes in. So when you speak of cross cultural, obviously, each country has its beauties and its challenges. Okay. I live in the Mediterranean. We have a very open culture for some things, and maybe for some others, we're a little bit more limited. But every culture, I think, has its ups and downs. The main culture that I think we need to navigate through is that has been installed in our brains and in our hearts by our parents, grandparents, people who raised us. Because that's the culture that shapes us the most. I grew up in a house where we didn't really watch the news, but still my parents' beliefs. I mean, I can still hear my dad, telling me things that I didn't believe in as a kid. I definitely don't believe in now, but as a kid, I had to accept as true. So the primary cultural impact is that which we inherit passively as young children that our parents install in our minds and in our hearts.
Yes. And that's a healing thought that no matter what we start, the human need for alignment is the same. And also, you are a neurochange practitioner. So, as a neurochange practitioner, how do you guide clients to rewire the behavior at a subconscious level?
Okay, that's really a beautiful question. So I use a practical tool, a behavior mapping tool. We start from there. We take the test, we look at this beautiful photograph of 19 behaviors that help us in relationships, in business, in communication. Once we have that map and the person sees the map, their map, So let's say you take this test, Shreya. You see your map and you're like, oh, wow, God, it's true. I do that. Oh, wow. And I show you how these actions are creating certain maybe problems or obstacles or difficulties. I'm like, well, you see, you're living this difficulty because you're doing this right now. But if you we modify this behavior, then this also disappears. And you're like, okay, great, let's do it. But then we need to go into your ideas, beliefs, the programs that are installed. So first step is the behavior mapping. We take the test. You have a beautiful photograph of how you interact with the world and people. Based on that, we then assess which ideas, which softwares, which beliefs we need to go and examine together with extreme love and kindness, because most of them are emotionally heavy because they were put there by people that we love. Okay, so gently we start revisiting, transforming, reframing these ideas while, because I'm not a psychologist, so I'm passionate about all this stuff, but I don't do what a therapist does. I keep it very practical, action. So I show you the behaviors, I show you the ideas, and then we work through new actions. So I would propose to you, Shreya, how can we reframe this behavior so that it reflects your new idea? So now you think that money is great and you want a lot of money. Wonderful. So, what is one behavior that you could start integrating into your life to, to offer proof of this new belief? And so I work, this is my entire work. This is how I work. It's behavior and ideas, new behaviors, new ideas.
Yeah.
Very practical. I'm very practical. I like things, I like quick results. And so this is and it's also very useful for solopreneurs because it's hands-on. Every day you can make a difference, and you can, week by week, you see things shift because you're behaving differently.
Yes, this is really beautiful. The way you said it's so practical. I think that practical practices are so much important in our life, and I think transformation doesn't have to be really heavy. Sometimes the curiosity is the light that breaks through it. And this is a wonderful conversation with you because you're a wonderful person. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
If you go on my website, www.annalisacorti.com, I've prepared a guide, a PDF guide that people can download so that they can start to get to know this approach. And if it resonates, then we can connect on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Maybe I can give you all the links, and then to make it easier for them to connect.
Yes, yes, and I will make sure to attach all the details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and have a conversation with you because whatever you do is so, so, so beautiful, wonderful, and I think you're such a powerful woman and so inspiring to everyone. And I think, Annalisa, thank you for showing us that growth isn't about becoming someone else. It's all about remembering who we already are beneath the noise. And
Yes.
and
Yes.
to all my listeners who are listening this conversation, start with one small behavior. Witness it, honor it, shift it with love. Because sometimes the tiniest turn inward reveals the truest path home. So until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, stay in peace, and we'll meet at Inner Peace Better Health. Thank you.